Denver looked old. Now, they're not old, but against Oklahoma City, they looked old. And I'm worried about
the Denver Nuggets start the season has been a reality check. With just 3 wins in their first 6 games, fans might not be panicking yet, but how they're winning or struggling to raises questions. These victories weren't decisive. They needed late-game heroics and even overtime to beat teams that aren't exactly title contenders. And yes, Nikola Jokic is still putting up MVP-level numbers, almost effortlessly. But even he's sounding the alarm on their shooting struggles. He's admitted that, outside of Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, the team is filled with just average shooters. The dominance Denver had last season, or even during their championship run 2 years ago, just isn't there. Some players feel this could be their last real shot as a group. So, what's going on with this team? Let's analyze. But before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. As this NBA season unfolds, the Denver Nuggets are off to a start that's raising eyebrows, especially considering the high expectations. Sitting at 3-3 after 6 games, they've managed to scrape by with 2 overtime wins against teams they were expected to handle more comfortably. Some might dismiss these early games as growing pains, but the way they've struggled leaves them just a few plays away from a troubling 1-5 record. And it's not just the on-court issues that should concern Nuggets fans. It's the mindset in the front office that could be the real red flag. According to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, Denver had the opportunity to bring in Paul George this offseason, but backed off.
Not that much that they can do. They had opportunities to go out and get Paul George this offseason.
The reason? They didn't want to part with young talents like Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, or Julian Strawther. Nor did they want to take on a more long-term salary. And from the Clippers side, the deal didn't appeal without significant assets in return, like Michael Porter Jr. or Zeke Naji's combined $147 million contracts. This hesitation says a lot. Denver had a shot to add a proven all-star to bolster their title defense, but chose to prioritize future potential over a seasoned star. Now, let's not pretend Paul George would be a flawless addition. He's 34, has had his share of injuries, and his next contract won't be cheap. But sometimes, when you're holding the league's best player, Nikola Jokic, fresh off his 3rd MVP, you have to make bold moves to stay on top. Jokic, at 29, is in his prime. Denver's window to build around him won't last forever. Relying on rookies and young prospects like Strawther or Watson to develop into reliable players is risky when they have a superstar in his peak years ready to win now. The Nuggets seem to be attempting a version of the Warriors' 2-timeline approach, where young talent develops alongside experienced champions. But here's the problem. Denver doesn't have the depth or the high-caliber young players Golden State had. They're gambling on players who, as of now, haven't shown they're ready for those big moments. Instead of committing to surrounding Jokic with veteran support, players who can deliver in the playoffs, the Nuggets are stuck between the present and the future. They're trying to balance development and championship ambitions, but it's starting to look like they may lose on both ends. The first 6 games are a reality check, highlighting the team's reliance on Jokic's brilliance without a reliable supporting cast. If they don't make changes, they could be looking at a season where the cost of their cautious approach outweighs the potential benefits. However, it's the departure of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope that has left a void that's tough to ignore. Michael Malone has been vocal about it. Denver lost a rock-solid defender and a reliable shooter, and it's showing on the court. Yes, they're banking on Christian Braun, and so far, he's delivering. The 23-year-old has nearly doubled his scoring, hitting 53.8% from the field. His grit, size, and that clutch 3 against Brooklyn haven't gone unnoticed. But by pushing Braun into the starting lineup, Denver's second unit has thinned out, leaving them heavily reliant on Russell Westbrook. And while Westbrook can be electrifying, his shooting has been erratic, putting the bench at the mercy of his inconsistency. Meanwhile, both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are off to slow starts. Porter's shooting finally woke up against Brooklyn, but Murray's numbers are lagging, echoing Malone's preseason concerns about conditioning. Even Jokic, who's still putting up MVP-worthy numbers, 31.5 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 9.3 assists per game, isn't quite in his top form yet. Despite his brilliance, the cracks in the roster are starting to show. Everyone in Denver feels the urgency. General manager Calvin Booth has framed this season as part of a critical 10-year window around Jokic, now 5 years in. And the stakes are higher than ever, with a team that historically steers clear of paying luxury taxes and an NBA collective bargaining agreement that's tightened their financial flexibility. The Nuggets have lost several key role players since their 2022-23 championship run. And all the lingering questions around the Nuggets are starting to weigh heavy. Can their shooting and depth hold up? Are the young players truly ready to step into the roles of key contributors from that 2023 championship team? These doubts hang in the air, uncomfortably unresolved. Nikola Jokic, ever practical, recently put it bluntly: "I think people always want more, but they don't know what they have. I'm really happy we have one title. A lot of great players never get that." But here's the reality. Denver has the best player in the world, and his prime, by the organization's own timeline, is halfway over. So how do they maximize what's left? Last season ended in bitter disappointment when Denver fell to Minnesota in Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals. A 20-point second-half lead slipped away, and with it, their championship dreams. They were the 5th straight defending champion to fail to make it out of the second round. The Nuggets had simply run out of steam by season's end. Murray was playing on what felt like one leg. Gordon's shoulder was in bad shape, Jokic's wrist was in constant pain, and Caldwell Pope struggled with hamstring issues. When it came down to it, the veterans were spent, and the younger players meant to inject fresh energy fell short. After that crushing defeat, Denver's front office doubled down on its commitment to develop young talent around the core. But there was one option they briefly considered, then let go. One player emblematic of Denver's struggle is Zeke Nnaji. He's the 5th highest paid Nugget, yet his on-court minutes are shockingly low. Nnaji once looked like a promising addition, a big man who shot nearly 41% from 3 in his rookie year and over 46% in his second. His potential earned him a 4-year, $32 million extension, but since then, he's barely seen the floor, shooting a dismal 26.5% from 3 last season and logging just 14 minutes in the playoffs. This season, he's played in 1 game out of 4. These kinds of bets have to pay off if Denver's long-term strategy is to succeed, but they're tough to stomach when the hard cap is looming and the team's best chance to win is right now. Even worse, recent insights from ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reveal a rising tension within the Denver Nuggets organization. Several team members opened up about the mounting pressure, and Michael Porter Jr. shared something shocking. He thinks this could be their last shot together as a core group. "If we don't win it this year," Porter told ESPN, "we all know they might have to break it up." For General Manager Calvin Booth, the struggle between patience and urgency is real. You're a coach. You're trying to win the next game, and you want to see a proven product, Booth explained. While the team theoretically buys into nurturing their young talent, the competitive fire often pulls them back to relying on experienced players. Booth admitted it's been a tough balance for Coach Malone. It might be early to suggest splitting up this squad. After all, they were the NBA champions just 2 seasons ago, finished near the top of the West last season, and were 1 game shy of the Western Conference Finals. But something is clearly missing from last season's spark, and it's got everyone wondering if they can still go the distance. So, what do you think? Can the Nuggets reclaim their dominance? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Peace.